Yesterday the boys were driving the Gator and had it in gear and it would not come out of gear. No matter how hard they tried, it would not come out of gear. So they put it into reverse and I got in and everything short of breaking this gear shift lever off, it would not go into neutral until I turned off the key. When I turned off the key, I could get it into neutral, and then we could start it up again. But as soon as we put it back into gear, we could not get it back out of gear again. It would not go. Not only that, but when it was in gear, it was also like the accelerator was being pressed. Because we could mash this brake to the floor as hard as we could, but it was still in gear and it was still moving. And the only way I could get it to not run into the wall in front of me was turn the key off. So first thing we did was take this housing off back here so that we could get to the belt and the clutch. We come back here and see our drive belt. This is what drives the Gator. We've got that clutch down lower, and that clutch has two shivs, and these shivs move closer together to tighten around that belt to drive it. And this clutch here has these slides around it. There's one here, you can see another one around the side there, and there's another one on the other side that we can't see here. But these here slide in here, so I've lubricated all of this to help the clutch engage and disengage better and tighten those shivs around that belt and loosen those. And that helps some. We could actually shift after that. So we got to a point where I could start it up. And I could shift, but it was still, I was using a lot of force to get it out of reverse. It was not shifting as well as I had thought it should. So the next thing I did was look at where the gear shifter's attached at. The gear shifter's attached back here. And so right now I just put it in low. And so right now if you were to come back here and take this, and there I've moved it into drive high, and there I've moved it into neutral. But basically this rod right here slides in and out. And so I've lubricated this rod. I let it slide all the way out as far as it would go. So I let it slide all the way out as far as it would go, and I lubricated that slide. And likewise, I came over here on the other end. So that's going to be running in a cable housing all the way up to here. I've come in under the seat, and as I move the gear shift, you can see it down in here. So I pulled it as far out, which would be reverse here. I pulled it as far out and I've lubricated that slide as well. And I have worked it back and forth a lot to get that lubrication in and out. Also, lubricated any pivot points along the way as well. But after lubricating that slide, it became much easier to shift. And I wouldn't say that alone was the issue. I would say that the clutch was definitely an issue, because after I lubricated the clutch, I was able to shift again. But it wasn't until after I lubricated the slides for that gear shifter that I was actually able to smoothly shift. See there, it's engaged. Doesn't take much to get out of reverse. There, we're engaged. Doesn't take much to get out of drive. There, we're in low. Back up to drive. Back into neutral. Reverse. Back into neutral. So I think a combination of those two things is definitely what got our gear shifter working again. So hopefully if that helps anybody. I've heard of this happening on a few different kinds of gators, so if it helps you out, that's great.